The problems that continue to plague the Arab world were top of the agenda for the UN Security Council on Tuesday, as it considered ways in which cooperation with the League of Arab States might be enhanced. Members discussed two protected conflicts in Syria, Yemen, Libya, and Sudan, and the stalled Middle East peace process as they agreed that multilateralism and cooperation are key requirements for peace. As the meeting was held in the invitation of Tunisia's permanent representative at the UN, Tarek Ladeb stressed the need for a more effective partnership between the UN and the Arab League, and evoked Chapter 8 of the UN Charter, which sets out the role of regional organizations in efforts to maintain peace and security. The UN chief says 9 African nations and Iran are in behind on paying their dues to the United Nations operating budget, as should lose their voting rights as required under the UN Charter. In a letter to General Assembly, President Volkan Bozkır circulated Tuesday, Secretary General Antonio Guterres lists the minimum amount that the 10 countries need to pay to have their voting rights restored. The UN Charter gives the 193-member General Assembly the authority to decide that the failure to pay is due to conditions beyond the control of the member, and in that case, a country can continue to vote. The Islamic Republic of Iran's military kicked off a ground forces drill on Tuesday along the coast of the Gulf of Oman. State TV reported the latest in a series of snap exercises that the country is holding amid escalating tensions over its nuclear program and Washington's pressure campaign against Tehran. According to the report, commando units and airborne infantry were participating in the annual exercise, along with fighter jets, helicopters, and military transport aircraft. Iran's National Army Chief Abdurrahim Musavi was overseeing the drill. Iran has recently stepped up military drills as part of an effort to pressure President-elect Joe Biden over the nuclear deal that President Donald Trump pulled out of. President-elect Biden has said the U.S. could rejoin the multinational accord meant to contain Iran's nuclear program. President-elect Joe Biden will take the stage for his inaugural address at perhaps the most difficult starting point for a president since Franklin Roosevelt. President-elect Biden will arrive in the nation's capital on Tuesday for an Inauguration Eve ceremony at the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, honoring the nearly 400,000 people who have died during the COVID-19 pandemic, indicating that will be his first priority after he is sworn in the next day. Both President-elect Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris will take the oath of office. Rebels killed 2 peacekeepers in the Central African Republic on Tuesday, the UN mission said, hours after the top court confirmed President Faustin Archange Touadéra's re-election in a December vote marred by low turnout. The peacekeepers were killed in an ambush on the convoy near the southern city of Bangassou, a city that the UN said at the weekend had been retaken from armed groups who had seized it 2 weeks earlier. The attack, the latest in a series blamed on a coalition of armed groups that mounted a failed coup ahead of the December 27th vote, brought the number of UN troops killed since then to 7. UN Special Envoy to CAR, Manika Nadia, said the mission had paid a heavy price but remained committed to pursuing its mandate to protect civilians and secure elections. A Russian judge has remanded Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny in pre-trial detention for 30 days for violating the terms of a suspended jail sentence, ignoring calls from Western countries to free the opposition politician immediately. The ruling, a day after police detained him at the airport where he returned to Russia for the first time since being poisoned by a military-grade nerve agent last August, could be the prelude to him being jailed for years. Moscow's prison service has applied to convert a suspended 3.5-year embezzlement sentence in the same case, which he says was trumped up interior jail time early next month. He faces 3 other separate criminal cases too. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's spokeswoman quickly dismissed Donald Trump's announcement Tuesday that a COVID-19 ban on travelers arriving from much of Europe and Brazil would be lifted. Jen Psaki, President-elect Biden's press secretary, said on the advice of medical teams the administration does not intend to lift these restrictions on January 26. President Trump had announced an initial ban on January 31st of 2020 on non-American travelers entering from China to stop the spread of the coronavirus. The ban was extended to European countries on March 14th, when the U.S. shut itself off from the world as the pandemic entered full force. The Philippines presidential spokesman Harry Roque said on Tuesday the country will buy 20 million doses of a COVID-19 vaccine from Moderna Incorporated. Moderna's vaccines adds to the Philippines' deals to buy a total of 72 million doses from AstraZeneca, Novavax and Sinovac. The Philippines has the second highest COVID-19 infections and deaths in Southeast Asia, next to Indonesia. The California state epidemiologist has recommended that the state pause the distribution of more than 330,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine after a higher than usual number of people showed signs of a possible severe allergic reaction. The recommendation comes at a dire moment in California, which is experiencing one of the most acute outbreaks in the nation. About 40,000 people are testing positive each day, the equivalent of the daily caseload for the entire United States, as recently as September, and California's hospital beds are filling up. China is battling the worst outbreak of COVID-19 since March 2020, with one province posting a record daily rise in cases, as an independent panel reviewing the global pandemic said China could have acted more forcefully to curb the initial outbreak. News reports on Tuesday defended China's early handling of COVID-19, saying no country had any experience in dealing with a completely new virus. China reported more than 100 new COVID-19 cases for a 7th day on Tuesday. The National Health Authority said in a statement, mainland China posted 118 new cases on January 18th, up from 109 a day earlier. Chinese rescuers drilled several fresh holes Tuesday to reach at least 12 gold miners trapped underground for 9 days as dwindling food supplies and rising waters threatened their survival. 22 workers have been stuck 540 meters underground at the Hushan mine near Yantai in East China's Shandong province after an explosion damaged the entrance. After days without any signs of life, some of the trapped miners managed to send up a note attached to a metal wire, which rescuers has dropped into the mine on Sunday. At least 14 migrant laborers were crushed to death and 6 others injured on Tuesday morning by a speeding dumper truck in western Indian state of Gujarat. The workers, around 20 farm laborers from Rajasthan state and a child, were sleeping near a road when the dumper truck lost control and ran over them. 12 were killed on the spot, 2 succumbed later, and 6 others were being treated in a hospital. Police said all the victims hailed from Kishalgarh in Rajasthan.